created in the image of man. And my understanding of who Jesus is that he came to make the invisible image of God visible.
Oh yeah, baby.
Not so that we would worship him as, oh my gosh, who could be like Jesus? No, he came to make that divinity accessible.
Oh yeah.
To people with a lot of talent, no talent, a lot of intelligence, no intelligence, or limited intelligence. And besides that, this is the rant I've been doing for 12 years. Can't understand why people just aren't so excited to pick up the phone and talk to me. Things like people who rank on, say, the Catholic Church. I was listening to EWTN last night. I couldn't get to sleep. My hours of sleeping have been all erratic, so I was up very late. But I like listening to something as I'm trying to go to sleep. Because usually it bores me, and that's soporific. Sleep-inducing. So I'm listening to EWTN. Don't take that as an insult, Pope Benedict, in your underlings. But as I was listening to Father Grichel, who looks like he must be at least 80 now, speaking in a very, very feeble, halted manner, unlike what I'm used to 10, 15, 20 years ago when I used to listen to him and he was full of vim and vigor. He's got to be in his last years. God bless him. I'm listening to him talk about this guy who was recently beatified, and I guess that's less than being canonized. I don't know. I don't understand the whole Catholic thing, even though I was raised Catholic. And I gave up on Catholicism when I was in my mid-teens. But even though I gave up on Catholicism in my mid-teens, and clearly I am not still in my mid-teens, I don't take the position of just dismissing Catholics. How foolish. They believe in no abortion, no contraception. They're anti-gay, and they believe in the Pope as the representative of Christ. And they go to church every Sunday. And even more than that, the real religious ones go on holy days throughout the year. And they're very dour and strict about their faith, and somewhat proud of how strict they are in their faith that separates them from those heathen Protestants. In spite of all that, which in some ways is true, I mean, you have people who reflect that, there's no reason to dismiss them as non-Christians. Especially because some of them devote their lives to serving the poor. They live their lives in serving and helping impoverished people. How many fundamentalist Christians do you know that do that? How many Buddhists do you know that do that? How many Hindus do you know do that? How many Muslims do you know do that? How many Jews that you know do that? And I'm not saying all Catholics do that, but that's a big part of their doctrine, and there's a big part of the Catholic identity that is most resonant and has the most affinity with serving the poor. how in your mind can you possibly criticize that? And you could say, well, they worship Mary. Oh, they're praying to saints. Oh, they feel like they're going to go to hell if they don't go to church. And da-da-da-da-da-da, whatever it might be. You could pick any religion and find some aspect of it that is unpalatable to you. Fine. I'm sure there's something we could find unpalatable about you and whatever position you align yourself with. But does that mean we should just reject the most precious moments of your life that have served to support and draw out the best, most divine aspects of who you can be? Should we just reject you because of those differences? But that's what ends up happening. You got the Jews hating the Arabs, the Muslims hating the Christians hating anybody who's not Christian, the atheists hating anybody who thinks there's a God, Democrats hating Republicans, gays hating anti-gays, anti-gays hating gays, feminists hating chauvinists, Asians hating... Actually, I don't think the Asians hate anyone. And when you think about that, that's a pretty good... That's a pretty good marketing position for the belief systems that have come out of Asia. I don't know... I mean, you could call me and tell me I'm wrong. I would love to hear your defense of this, but why is it we don't associate hatred with Asians? I say communist China, obliterated Buddhist temples and exiled them to India because there was no tolerance for faith in China. Okay, gotcha. One of the worst examples of humanity in the history of the world, along with but the Eurocentric position that demonized the Native Americans, or the dehumanization of Africans. The exploitation of capitalist countries, of less powerful countries, just to have access to the raw materials. And the U.S.'s history of aligning itself with despots and dictators who presided over great resources. So we were able to look the other way on undemocratic values and institutions in those places so that we had this economic connection. All of that exploitation is deplorable. And because of that, it's one of the few things that I've agreed with and resonate with Barack Obama, because he was honest enough to admit the failures of the American government in years past in an effort to gain some respect with those who align themselves vehemently against us because of that past. That's something I resonate and respect him for. Probably the only thing, but I do in that regard. So I'm just saying all that because the history of mankind has been primarily, in my opinion, ugly, nasty, and has led to unnecessary deaths and almost a bloodthirsty addiction to violence. If that wasn't so, we wouldn't have so many wars, we wouldn't have so many unnecessary deaths, we would have more celebrations of respect and communication between cultures and countries, and we really don't. And in my position, even though Jesus didn't say a lot about politics and what is the reputable position to maintain in a socially conscious world, I think his position of love and respect of other is absolutely the key to unlock the future hope of the entire world.
Oh yeah, but
because if you respect a country's development based on their experience, tradition, and culture, then you open the door to communication. You don't need to agree on everything, but there's got to be some agreement there. Don't we all look for living our lives in peace without the threat of physical, financial, and personal loss?